Now, I've spent nearly my entire life living in Post Falls, Idaho. I know it like the back of my hand. It's big, it's beautiful, it's growing, but there are some pros and cons. So if you're thinking about moving to Post Falls, Idaho, you're gonna wanna stick around. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Trent and this is Living Life in North Idaho, located in downtown Coeur d'Alene. On this channel, we talk about everything you need to know in order to decide if North Idaho is the place that you want to call home. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you tap the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so every time we come out with a new video, you get notified. And as you'll hear me say in most of my videos, if you are serious about moving here, make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text or an email. Guys, that's why we're here. We love talking to people about getting relocated up here, and we help make that process so much easier. So don't be shy, give us a call. So today we're talking about the pros and cons of living in Post Falls, Idaho. The specific pro that I want to start with is the activities that are offered in Post Falls, Idaho and the surrounding area. You have the Spokane River that you can do paddleboarding, boating, canoeing, fishing, swimming. That river goes all the way from State Line into Spokane actually, but it goes from State Line all the way up into Coeur d'Alene Lake. So you can jump on your boat in Post Falls, go up, play in the Coeur d'Alene Lake area, do some wake surfing or wakeboarding, then drive it back home to your Post Falls residence. It's really awesome that you can go all the way through, and it's a wide enough river that even as traffic increases, it's not becoming a massive issue. The other activity I love is all the hiking that Post Falls has to offer. Of course, you have the Centennial Trail that runs all the way through northern Idaho, but you also have Coelum, which is really cool. It's right by the dam. If you've watched my Living in Post Falls, Idaho video, you'll see some footage of that. But you have trails and parks all over Post Falls. Post Falls was really known as like the rural town until recently, as a lot of the growth is starting to take place. So it's really awesome for outdoor activities like hiking, biking, swimming, boating, all that stuff. And of course you have snowboarding. There's no mountain specifically in Post Falls, but you can get to 5 different mountains within an hour. And some of them are only about 45 minutes away if you want to go into Mount Spokane, which is actually one of my favorite mountains to ride at. It's still relatively inexpensive to ride there, and there's some really good terrain. You also have 3 golf courses in Post Falls. You have the Highlands Golf Course, which is where I grew up playing, and that's where I learned how to golf. It's one of my favorite golf courses, a lot of challenging holes. You have Prairie Falls and you have the Links. It doesn't get very busy out there because Post Falls is not really known as like the golfing town like Hayden or Coeur d'Alene is. And so you can usually that day, if you didn't book a tee time, you can usually get on at one of the courses, which is kind of nice. I don't know how long it's gonna stay that way, but it's been that way ever since I lived there. Now, one big con that I want to talk about in Post Falls, and this is an increasing problem, is the traffic and the travel. You only have a few main arterials like Mullen, Celtice, and Pole Line, and then you have one freeway system that runs east to west into Spokane from Coeur d'Alene. And then you have 41 that goes up to Rathdrum. And in between Post Falls and Rathdrum, there's a ton of growth happening. So in order to try to get around, it is getting harder. I'm sure if you're from places like LA or a major city in California, Seattle or Portland, it's not gonna seem like a problem at all. But having been here 29 years, it definitely feels like it is a growing problem, and I just can't stand traffic, man. That's why my parents brought me up here when I was a kid. The traffic was horrible in California, and so to see that potentially becoming a problem up here is no fun. So it is a con on my list. Another major pro, which you probably heard me talk about in my other video about Post Falls, is the restaurants. Now, there's not a ton of them, but the ones that are there, Post Falls is kind of weird. We've seen a lot of restaurants come and go, and only the really good ones survive. So you have the Old European Breakfast House, you have the Sawtooth Grill, which is really, really good. Of course, you've heard me talk about the White House Grill. You drive down Spokane Street, you're gonna smell it. It's Greek, Mediterranean food, tons of garlic, really, really tasty. So yeah, not a ton of restaurants, but all of them are really, really delicious. Now, another major con entertainment. There's not a lot of entertainment in Post Falls. Live After 5 was doing concerts out there. I don't know if they're gonna continue after this whole pandemic stuff, but there's just not a lot to do. There's Post Falls days that will take place. They do have a hot rod show, but a lot of the entertainment, you're gonna need to go over into Spokane or into Coeur d'Alene. It's just not really a happening place yet. But as I see the growth taking place, I think that there's plenty of potential for more shows and entertainment to happen there. We used to have a theater that got shut down, turned into a church, but I bet as time goes on, there will be more stuff that happens. So think of it, if you're moving there now, you're kind of still getting in on the ground floor, even though it has grown a lot. It's gonna be growing a lot more, and it's gonna be really cool to see what takes place as it evolves. Now, one thing I loved about Post Falls and why I chose to live there instead of Spokane or Coeur d'Alene is because you're in between both, and each one has its own separate offerings. Coeur d'Alene is more of the outdoors, lakes and rivers and hiking, not a lot of shopping, but Spokane has a lot of the entertainment. They've got the arena, big concerts and comedy shows. They got the better shopping. And so living in Post Falls, I could just choose when I got to the freeway, do I want to jump into Spokane and that takes me 30 minutes, or do I want to go over into Coeur d'Alene, which takes me about 25 minutes? So you're right in between there, where if you live in Coeur d'Alene and you need to go do your shopping, you're talking about an hour and a half round trip of travel. So Post Falls eliminates some of that, and it's still a really great place to live. So it's not like you're sacrificing a ton to live there. But if you are still in your working years and you need to work in Spokane where it's a little bit higher paying, Post Falls is a great option. All right, another major pro, Post Falls has a ton of wildlife. That's one of my favorite things about living up here is you can drive around and you're gonna see deer, you're gonna see elk. When you drive up around the river, there's a herd of about 40 head of elk that travels around there. I've seen it, a lot of the people in the area have seen it. It's a really cool place. It's still, you're in kind of a city, but it doesn't take long before you're in the wilderness and you're seeing some really awesome wildlife. So it's a really cool feature about living in Post Falls. Now, I've said it before in other pro and con videos, but it needs to be said again in case you haven't seen those. The tax rate in Post Falls, you're gonna have low property tax, which is a great pro, but you do have income tax and sales tax. So that kind of is a hit. You go over into Spokane, and I know their taxes are a little bit higher, but they don't have income tax. So living in Post Falls, that is kind of a bummer. It does help offset if you do own a home because you don't have to pay as much property tax, but you are gonna be hit with that income tax. Another major con, which I've criticized Post Falls pretty much the entire time I lived there, I don't think that they were expecting it to grow this big and this fast. So the planning of the city just wasn't there. There's no real downtown. You have doctor's offices and then a row of car lots and then some restaurants and some homes, and it's just kind of scattered all about. So it wasn't very well planned. It's gonna be interesting to see how they deal with that as the population continues to boom, but it is kind of a major con in my mind. They are starting what looks like a downtown on the lower end of Spokane Street as you head towards the bridge to cross the river, so it'll be really cool. Now, the last major pro is pretty much any lifestyle you want, Post Falls offers it. You want a rural home on 20 acres, you can get that in Post Falls. You want a beautiful home right on the river where you can get in your seaplane. There's actually people with seaplanes that can take off from the river and fly wherever. I don't know where they're going. I wish I was getting the invite, but you can do that. You want to live in a really nice suburban neighborhood, you can do that. You want to live in an older, more mature suburban neighborhood, it has that. The only thing that it doesn't have, you're not really gonna have, like I said, a downtown, but that's lower Spokane Street between 3rd and 4th, that's starting to develop as a downtown. And what's kind of cool is there really hasn't been very many like condos or big houses bought there. So if you do end up staking your claim in that area, I see really high potential for that becoming the downtown of Post Falls and a very valuable place to own property. So guys, that's it. The pros and cons of living in Post Falls, Idaho. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If there's something I missed or something that you liked, please make sure you leave a comment. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell. That does help my channel. I really appreciate it. And if you are serious about moving here, guys, that's why we're here. I'm being serious. We take calls day, nights, weekends, holidays. All you have to do is give us a call, even if you just have some questions. We can help you get set up in this area, but it is growing fast. There is competition right now. So if you are thinking about moving here, give us a call now because it might take a few months to get set up here. So until the next video, guys, I will see you later.